Good morning. Let me get my puppies a treat. Good morning. Let me get my puppies a treat. And I had an echo. I hope that echo is going now. Hopefully you're not hearing an echo. So good morning. Happy Monday. And it's a new week. So, what am I going to get into today? As you've seen from my thumbnail, I am going to be making a sourdough starter, and I'm going to be making it with fresh milled flour using wheat berries. So before I get started on that, as you can see, I have a Walmart delivery that was just delivered. So I'm going to go ahead and go through this real quick and get this moved out of my way, and then we'll get started on the sourdough starter and milling using the grain mill, how to use the grain mill, what wheat berries I'm using, and then we'll get started making the sourdough starter from scratch. And then I'm going to put my dinner together. I've got everything laid out, and we'll go ahead and get my dinner started as well. So get you a cup of coffee and bear with me for a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and go through this. Even though you have a well-stocked pantry and you have a well-stocked freezer, you still need produce. And this is what my delivery basically is, mostly produce today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on it real quick. Okay, I'll just start from this end. I got 3 18 packs of extra large eggs. Let me go ahead and put these in the refrigerator, just 18 packs. And as always, I have one 18 pack left, so I'm doing a rotation. How is your day? Very good. How is your day? Your eggs? I'm from Indianapolis. Oh, wow. Oh, wait a minute. Indianapolis. Oh, my goodness. Hi, good morning. As always, when you're doing your refrigerator rotation, your freezer rotation, you always put first in, first out. I had one 18 pack. I had 3 18 packs delivered. So I'll be rotating and putting my 18 pack that I had in the refrigerator on top. That way I know I use it first. And then, of course, I ordered some butter. Everybody needs butter. So, I got the 2 packs of butter. Anyone? Shut up, the man is here. What? Who's the man? What do you mean? Change your diaper, Grandma. Oh, please be nice. We don't do that here. I'm sorry. I'm just an old lady sharing meals And today I'm going to be teaching them how to use a grain mill, how to grain their own wheat berries into flour, and how to start a sourdough starter to make their own sourdough bread and whatever else they want to make with their sourdough. But I did get my Walmart grocery delivery, so I'm running through this real quick and getting it put away. So please be kind in the chat. I just ask that you be kind. I got 4 of these 2-packs, so that gives me 2, 4, 6, 8. I'm going to be making some coleslaw, so I did get one 24-ounce container of coleslaw dressing. I'll go ahead and move these over to the side. And like I was saying, even if you have a stocked pantry, you still need produce. Your freezer can be stocked, your pantry can be stocked, but you still need produce in order to have a balanced diet. Always be healthy, Grandma. Oh, well, thank you. Don't listen to the random comments. Kids like these. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for your kindness. So this is basically produce, a little bit of butter and whatnot. And I needed some hamburger buns. So I did pick up some hamburger buns. And I'm going to be probably tomorrow, maybe today if we have time, I'm going to be working on some fermenting. I'm going to be making sauerkraut and then making it in my crock to ferment. I'll be doing that tomorrow. And then I'm going to be fermenting some cucumbers, turning them into pickles. So I did pick up some cucumbers for that. And we'll be fermenting those. And with those, I'm going to need what all do we have? Onions. Okay, what did I do with it? Did I put it in here? I have onions. And I had some garlic. Oh, here we go. Some garlic. So this is going to be for doing the fermenting tomorrow. So there's some cucumbers, some garlic. I have onions. And then I'm going to be making some coleslaw or some sauerkraut. So I just got 2 heads of cabbage, and they're pretty small. So it's not going to be a large batch, but I'll be making sauerkraut tomorrow in the crock. And then I'm going to be fermenting some different types of vegetables. So in that jar, I'll be doing some zucchini. I'll be using some of my garlic. I'll be using some onions. And let me see. I'll be adding maybe possibly a little bit of carrots. And let's see, I think, and then I'll be adding just my seasonings, like my pickling spices that I'll be using for the pickles, for the cucumbers, and then I'll be using different spices to do the vegetables. So that'll be fermenting, and I'll be doing that tomorrow. And then I did get some bananas. And I'm going to be making a little bit of coleslaw, so I did get some shredded carrots. And I may be using some of these in my fermented vegetables. How old am I? I am 63. I'm a grandmother and great-grandmother. So I'll be using some shredded carrots. And then I'm going to be making, for dinner, probably tomorrow, I'm going to be making a macaroni salad. So I did pick up some tomatoes and some green peppers. And then I also picked up a couple of the tubs of the tub butter. I'll go ahead and put that away. And then I'll get all of this moved out of my way and we'll get started on the sourdough starter. I wasn't expecting my order this early. When I picked up 2 things of sausage, 1-pound packages of sausage for my freezer, for freezer stock up. I'm still in the first of the month, rotating. And then I picked up some baby spinach leaves. And then I picked up some organic rosemary, and I'll be using that in with my vegetables tomorrow whenever I do the fermenting of the vegetables. So anyway, that got that out of the way. Again, I wasn't expecting my Walmart order till later, but they got here early, so I just wanted to get all of that out of my way. So let me go ahead and put these few things away, and then we'll go over here and get started with the grain meal and the sourdough starter. And then I also picked up some baby carrots. And that's just a small 1-pound package. And these are also 1 pound of shredded. And I'm just going to move my cabbage off to the side because I'm going to be using that tomorrow. And I'm just going to lay my garlic off with that. The baby cucumber, or they're like a pickling cucumber or salad cucumber. And the baby spinach. Okay, I apologize. I wasn't expecting that this early. Okay, now that I got that out of the way, I want to bring you over here. Let me wash my hands real quick. And I'll bring you over and show you the green meal what grain meal I'm going to be using. And how I set everything up for the grain meal. And this is what I'm going to be turning into fresh flour. I'm going to be using my Nutri-Meal. And this is a stone grinder. And I'll be turning some white, soft wheat berries into flour. And that'll be what I'll be using to start my sourdough starter with. So I'm going to go ahead and get this set up. And when you're using a grain meal like this one, you want to make sure that you have a container that fits underneath of your spout, because your flour is going to be coming out of your spout. And before you start to grind, you want to make sure that you always turn your grain meal on. See if I can move you just a little closer. There we go. And these are a soft white wheat berry. And that's what I'm going to be using this morning to make my flour. I also have hard white wheat berries, but I don't have any out right now. And I'm going to be making banana bread tomorrow. And I use the soft white wheat berries to make my flour for my banana bread. So I'm going to go, when you're making a sourdough starter, you can use any wheat as long as it's wheat. You can use an all-purpose flour as long as it's an unbleached. You don't want that bleached flour. And so you can use soft white berries, hard white berries. You can use the red berries, whatever you want to use in your wheat berries. Or you can use the all-purpose flour, any type of wheat flour, as long as it's unbleached. And I know I'm going to need at least 2.5 cups of flour for my banana bread. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grind up just a little bit extra. And this is very loud. Whenever you first turn it on, before you tighten your stones. Now this has the stones. This does not have the blades. And whenever I'm tightening it, if I want it coarse, I'm going to go, let me get my guide. And this is the Nutri-Meal Harvest. And it's showing that it's stone and not blades. If I want a coarse ground flour, I would turn it counterclockwise away from me. If I want a fine flour, I'm going to turn it clockwise. And then I put my bowl underneath here because it's going to be coming out my spout. And I want to make sure that I catch my flour. So you always want to make sure that your stones are not together when you first start your meal, your grain meal. And before you put your wheat berries in, you want to start your meal. So I'm going to go ahead and start it because it's not that loud until I put my wheat berries in. There it is, just a hum. Now, when I go to put my wheat berries in, it's going to get very, very loud. So, I'm going to measure out 3 cups of wheat berries and put them in. But I'm going to move you back, or I'm going to mute you so you don't hear the sound because it's very, very loud. Again, I'm going to be putting in about 3 cups. So I'm going to go ahead and mute. Before I add the berries, I'm going to tighten this up, so I want to turn it clockwise until I hear my now here my stones are starting to hit together. So I'm going to go ahead and mute you now. Watch right here and you'll see the flour come out of the spout. Okay, I'm going to turn this on for just a second and you'll see why I have it muted. Because it is stone, it is very loud. So I'm going to turn this on briefly just so you can hear it. And I'm almost done, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back on mute. But you can see what absolutely beautiful flour this makes. And you can grind it to whatever fineness that you want or coarseness that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and mute and just finish this little tiny bit of wheat berries. Now you can just hear the stones. So before I turn it off, I want to loosen the stones up. Because when you store it, you don't want your stones touching each other. So that was 3 cups of these soft white wheat berries, and you can see what beautiful flour that's made. And that was using the soft white wheat berries. And I put 3 cups of soft white wheat berries in and just ground them through. I set it on my texture that I wanted for my flour. So now I'm just going to move you over here a little bit. So hopefully you can see how absolutely beautiful that flour is. So now I'm going to start a sourdough starter. Let's see if I can get you here where it's bright. Hopefully you can see that okay. Okay, I'm not going to make a large batch of sourdough starter. I'm just going to make a small batch because it's just myself and my husband. So if you have a pint jar, I use a wide mouth. And this is a ring and lid that I've used before. And I washed everything and I washed the jar. Now I'm not going to be using this lid. And as you can see, it says used and I put an X on it. That way I know this is a used lid if I have this back in a case with new jars and lids that has not been used yet. So I'm going to be using a pint jar, and it is a wide mouth. And I'm going to be using just a coffee filter. And you'll need a rubber band. And you'll need a dark towel or cloth that will be able to completely cover your mason jar once we get the sourdough mixture started. This is a very simple and very easy starter, and is the sourdough starter. And of course, you will have to feed it every day. Okay, so I'm going to be using 1/4 cup. And this is a very simple, very easy sourdough starter. Let me see if I can turn another light on there. Does that help where you can see? And I'm just going to be taking some of my fresh milled flour. And it does come out a little bit warm whenever you're using the grinder over here. It is going to come out just a little bit warm, but not hot. So I have a clean, sterilized, wide mouth pint jar, and I have bottled water. Now you're either going to want bottled water, or you're going to want a filtered water. You don't want anything, that's too bright. You don't want anything that has chlorine in it. And if you're using, you can use your own milled flour, or you can use all-purpose flour, as long as it's the non-bleached. You do not want it bleached. You can use any type of wheat flour, as long as it's not bleached. And then your water must be filtered. You don't want any chlorine in your water when you're making your sourdough starter. So I'm just going to get 1/4 cup of my freshly milled flour. And it doesn't have to be precise. So 1/4 cup of my freshly milled flour. And now 1/4 cup of either bottled water or filtered water. And then I'll come on each day this week and show you how to take care of your starter here. So now all we're going to do is just mix it up real good. If you have a chopstick or, just whatever you have, but you want to make sure that you stir it really good. And you want to get a little bit of air in there. So the more you stir it, the better it's going to be. Now this is going to be day 1. You're just starting your starter. And hopefully you can see that. You can see the bubbles in there. Let me see if I can bring you down. Hopefully you can see those air bubbles in there. You want to make those air bubbles because the air bubbles is what's going to help this get a good start. So that's basically all there is to it. This is day one, starting your own starter. You just want to make sure you got all that flour stirred up. You don't want any of that flour just in clumps and lumps in there. So kind of make sure you got everything stirred up. And this is the beginning of your sourdough starter. So this is day one. Hopefully you can see those bubbles. And we'll move my flour off to the side over here. Now, I am just going to take a coffee filter and place a coffee filter on top of my jar and take a rubber band and just put it around my filter. And then I'm going to take a dark cloth. This is just a dish towel, but I want something dark, and I want to make sure that it covers this really good. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to set this in my pantry until tomorrow around the same time, within 24 hours. And then tomorrow I'm going to come back and then I'll start feeding my starter. So this is day one, and that was 1/4 cup of either all-purpose unbleached flour or your own milled flour. And like I said, today I'm using the soft white wheat berries because I'm going to be making a banana bread. And whenever you're milling your own flour, you would have hard white wheat berries for your flour, or hard red wheat berries for your bread flour. And if you were making desserts, or say banana bread, or a zucchini bread, or any kind of cake or dessert, you want to use your soft white wheat berries. So since I'm going to be making my banana bread and I had my soft white wheat berries out, I went ahead and just started my starter today with the soft white berries. Now I'm going to place this in my pantry for 24 hours in a dark space where it doesn't have light. And then I'll come back in 24 hours. That was 1/4 cup. Hi, good morning. Welcome to my kitchen. That was 1/4 cup of my milled flour and 1/4 cup of bottled water, or any type of filtered water. And I have the pint jar, which is a wide mouth, and I just put it in there and stirred everything up. And now this is day one of my sourdough starter. So tomorrow will be day two. So on day two, I'm going to come in, I'm going to take this out of my pantry in 24 hours, and then I'm going to go remove my towel, remove my filter and my rubber band. And then I'm going to just, since it's day two tomorrow, I'm not going to take anything out. I'm not going to discard. So tomorrow will be day two. I'll just add 1/4 cup again of my flour and 1/4 cup of my water. And I'm going to stir that before I add it. And then when I add it, I'm going to stir it really good. I'm going to cover everything back up with my filter, my rubber band, and my dark cloth. And I'm going to put it back in the pantry. So that will be day two. So on day three is whenever I'll start removing some of my discard. So if I remove 1/4 cup of my discard, then stir it up, then I'm going to make sure that on day three, I remove 1/4 cup, discard it, stir it up, then I'm going to add another 1/4 cup of flour and another 1/4 cup of my filtered water or bottled water on day three. And then I'm going to stir it up, and make sure you're stirring it really good because you want to see those bubbles. Now on day four, you're probably by day 4 going to see more and more activity. So each day when you get it out of your pantry and uncover it, usually within 12 hours, you're going to see activity. You're going to, like day 2, you're probably not going to see hardly anything, maybe a little bit of water on the top. But by day 3, you should start seeing it to rise and ferment and begin to live. And then you can tell it's hungry. So by day 3 is the first time that you're actually going to discard 1/4 cup, and then you're going to stir everything real good. Discard your 1/4 cup. Then you're going to add your 1/4 cup of flour and your 1/4 cup of water. You're going to stir it real good. You're going to put it away. Now on day 4, you're going to probably see a lot more activity, and it's going to, at this point, you're probably going to want to remove your starter. Go ahead and stir it, and you're going to want to remove your starter from this pint jar, which is very small, and you're going to be adding it into a quart jar. Now, on day 4, whenever you add this starter over into your quart jar, you want to really feed it. So this day you're going to want to give it at least a cup of flour. You want to go ahead and discard first, and then take the rest over into your quart jar. Then you want to add at least 1 cup of water, or 1 cup of flour, and maybe about a 1/2 cup of water. And then stir it real good just to make sure it's good and liquid. If not, go ahead and add your other 1/2 of water. Make sure it's the consistency that you want. And then you're going to mark on your quart jar. Take a marker and mark where your starter starts on your 4th day in the new jar. And what you're going to want to look for is where that mark is. Within 12 hours, it should double its size. It should rise at least double. Now, when it does this, it's ready then to be put in the refrigerator. You don't have to add anything else to it. You can go ahead and just put it into your refrigerator. And then just as you take out and feed it, take out your cup. If you take out a cup, then make sure you put back in a cup of flour and a cup of water. And you can keep this in your refrigerator. If you don't use it for long periods of time, it's absolutely fine. Just go in and take out what you need and just replace what you've taken out, and then you keep your sourdough starter continually going. So this is the starter, the sourdough starter, and this is day 1. Very simple, very easy. And this is just a small batch. And by the time that you get from day 1 to day 5, you maybe only have about a 1/2 cup of discard altogether, or a little bit over a 1/2 cup. So it's not a whole lot of flour and water that you're tossing. So just make sure that for the first 5 days, at least first 4 days, every day, you're going in and you're uncovering this, taking it out of the pantry, you're uncovering it. Day 2, you do not discard, you just add your 1/4 cup of flour and 1/4 cup of water after you've uncovered this and stirred it well, and then put it back on your shelf covered with your coffee filter and rubber band. Day 3 is the first day that you're going to start removing, and then you'll remove 1/4 cup. You'll stir it, remove 1/4 cup of your starter, and then add in 1/4 cup of flour, 1/4 cup of water. Stir everything again, put your filter and rubber band on, cover it again, put it back in your pantry, and then continue to do that up till whenever you have moved on day 4 your starter over to this jar, removed at least 1/4 of a cup, and then you've added 1 cup of flour, and start with a 1/2 cup of water, and then stir it together. And if you need a little bit more, add a little more. But on day 5, if on day 4, when you put your starter into your quart jar from your pint jar to give you more room, then make sure that you mark your jar. Say your starter comes up to here, take a marker and just mark you a spot or a piece of tape. And if it has in 12 hours doubled its size, then don't do anything else to it. You don't have to stir it down. You can go ahead and put this in your refrigerator. And then each day you can just add to it 1/4 of a cup or a cup of flour and a cup of water until you get as much starter as you want, and just leave it in your refrigerator. But I only add in what I take out. And after about 6 to 7 days, this should be ready for your first batch of pancakes and sourdough bread. It may not be as strong. It'll get stronger over time. The more that you feed it, the more it's in the refrigerator. I just leave it in the refrigerator, just go in and take out what I need to start, and the amount I take out, I replace and feed it. So that is the sourdough starter. Starting with fresh milled flour, using the grain mill, using the soft white wheat berries to make the flour, and then I started with fresh ground flour. And like I said, I went ahead and made extra because I'm going to be making banana bread tomorrow. And when I'm making banana bread, I need my flour with the soft white wheat berries. So I went ahead and just made extra. Now, whenever you're feeding your starter, if you don't have the same flour, if you start off with one of your flour's grain that you did in your meal, and then you don't have any made up, and you do have all-purpose flour that is unbleached, it will not hurt for you to use that. And even though you started it with the milk flour, it will still turn out just fine, and it will do absolutely amazing. So that is just a quick, easy sourdough starter, and I thought I would share that with you. I'm going to go ahead and put this in my pantry in a cool, dark place and let it set for 24 hours. And this is my starter, and it'll last me for many, many years. So that's how easy it is. It's not as hard. Now, if you want to weigh everything out, you can do all of that. This is just a quick, easy way that I know how to do it, and it's turned out absolutely wonderful every time. So I hope that was helpful. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me go put this in my pantry. And I'll just leave that in there for 24 hours. And I'll go check on it tomorrow. And I'll start all over again. And then tomorrow I'm going to be making some sauerkraut. I have a couple small heads of cabbage. And I'm going to be using the fermenting crock. So that's what I'll be working on tomorrow. And this is a small 1-gallon fermenting crock. And I'll be making sauerkraut tomorrow. So that's all I have today. I just wanted to come on and share that with you since I needed to make another sourdough starter. And I think that's all I have right now. So if you have any questions, please leave me a comment. I'll try and answer them. I think there's several videos on YouTube that make a similar sourdough starter. Because they do theirs all in one video. I'm doing live stream, and I can't go through 5 or 6 days all in one little section. So, I will do today's part 1. I'll put part 1, and then tomorrow will be part 2, sourdough, and making sauerkraut and fermenting vegetables and fermenting cucumbers into pickles. That'll be tomorrow. So tomorrow will be part 2 on the sourdough, and then I'll move into part 3 on Wednesday, and try and take you up through at least Thursday or Friday, so you can see the process that my sourdough has went through and how I'm feeding it. And by that time, it should be time for me to move it to the refrigerator. So I hope that was helpful. Maybe it will encourage you to try something new if you like sourdough. I know I was very intimidated with sourdough and what all was the steps that you had to go through, and I was afraid that I would mess it up. And you do not need to go out and buy one of these expensive meals and for grinding your own wheat berries. You can start off with just plain all-purpose flour, unbleached. You do not need this, but I have it available to me, and that's why I went ahead and used it today. And I also if you had never seen one of these and seen the process of taking the wheat berries in through the mill, and this has the stones, and then the flour coming out the spout, and then making the flour today. But you do not need all of this to make the sourdough. But I thought I would share this part of this with you and let you see how I go about doing that, and let you see what I think of it. So there it is. So my sourdough starter. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and hop off of here. I've got a few things to get done today, and I was on my foot and ankle quite a bit last week, so I'm trying to make it shorter segments on my live streams today. So I will be back tomorrow. I hope this was helpful. Maybe this will encourage you to try new things, to come in and make your own sourdough, so you can make your own sourdough breads. And I'll be doing more things this week, and maybe you would like to stop in and join me. I'll be fermenting some different vegetables, and I'll be fermenting some sauerkraut in the crock, and then I'll be making some cucumbers, fermenting cucumbers into some pickles. So I'm going to do that tomorrow, and I will see you tomorrow or on one of my live streams here in the future. So thank you for stopping in, and as always, I appreciate your kindness, and don't be afraid to try new things in your kitchen. You're never too old or too young to come in and try new things, to learn new things, and enjoy your kitchen. So till next time, bye-bye, everyone. Have an absolutely wonderful day, and enjoy your Monday, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a wonderful Monday.